Okay, hello everybody. So just a very quick introduction before Everett will introduce himself, hopefully. And we will also, I guess, kind of accompany him in his lecture with occasional questions. And everybody, if you have questions, please note them. Find an appropriate moment to interject, or in the end, we will have a discussion after roughly 1 hour of presentation. So yeah, we are very happy here in I'll give a little bit of context for an eventual, I don't know, maybe future outside audience of the recording of this event. We are at the Hochschule Hannover virtually, and in Ulli Lust's illustration class, and I'm a professor for storytelling at the Hochschule, and we have as our guest today Everett Glenn, American comic artist and illustrator and cartoonist, mostly. Who, yeah, American, we see it. The indication might be the flag in the background, but he is actually
Sorry,
also
guys.
in virtual Hannover here with us, but actually in Berlin, like me and Ulli. And so same timeline as us, which helps, I hope. And yes, so I stumbled upon Everett's work rather recently. In recent years, he popped up on the scene with his comic series Unsmooth that he will tell us more about today, which is yeah, a very, very unique combination of autobiographical comics and genre fiction. So really, his way of doing comics is quite unusual or unsmooth. I don't know. But also in recent times, he became surprisingly to me a regular cartoonist in the New Yorker, this very traditional magazine, which really has a great history of drawing, illustration, and cartooning that some of you might have heard about. So there's these more traditional cartoons, gag cartoons, but also very experimental illustrators like Saul Steinberg made really the debut, or like made a big part of their career through and by cause of the New Yorker, and also other people like Charles Addams, known for the Addams Family. So that brings us back to the good old times when you could become actually a millionaire by doing gag cartoons at the New Yorker. Everett will tell us if it's still the case.
I'll tell you.
Tell us all about it. How this works. How you came to become a New Yorker cartoonist, and how the work with the editorial staff there happens, etc., etc. But yeah, I will give the word to you.
Okay.
To give us a little bit, tell us a bit about your background and most importantly your current work and working methods. So yeah, please, Everett, take it away and share the screen.
Cool.
I hope that should be enabled now.
Yeah, I was gonna share the screen too. So guys, hi. First of all, no, you can't be a millionaire. I mean, you can, but wait. Oh wait, 1 second. Okay, you can, but you got to sell the rights to your book first. So to get there, you got to make a good book. So I think we're gonna just go with that. My idea for today, everyone, is just to basically talk to you through my story as I do a job. So today I have a illustration to do. Wait a minute, I can't see you all now. I'm sorry. I thought I would manage this quite better. There we go. So, all right. Today I got an illustration to do. That illustration would be equivalent to like 1 comic panel. And that takes me about 4 or 5 hours for one. So I thought maybe that'd be a good indication of like what it takes to do a full comic book, a graphic novel, in the style that I chose, which is called ligne. Ligne is a style from, I would say, France, Belgium, Franco-Belgian style. You most likely would know it from Hergé, but there's many other cartoonists worth digging in, and I would just take that word, ligne, and start digging and look for some rare stuff. Actually, I have one that is quite interesting here. Chantal de Spiegler. And this is the style. clean lines, like illustration style.
Okay, who's that?
Her name is Chantal Despiegel.
Okay.
I'm probably spelling her name wrong or saying her name wrong.
Madila Bay. Okay.
There you go.
Chantal de. Okay, I didn't read the name. I have to make the image bigger for me. Chantal de Spiegelair. Yeah, sounds like Flemish.
Yeah,
probably.
Totally. She's Flemish, and her husband is also Flemish, and he's worked on a famous ligne claire type of cartoon called Blake and Mortimer, and that's like the height of ligne claire stuff. So she's very obscure, and it's very fun to find these obscure ligne claire artists because I think it is a kind of time-consuming style, and it is very powerful if you can use it right. And it ranges from using photo reference. A lot of modern people who use ligne claire, including myself, use photo reference, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And it also can be like fashion illustration. You can really implement a lot of different drawing styles to this technique. So look it up. Now I'm going to share my screen. On the side, you're going to see like a video that's going to be looping of my own photo reference and how you all can go if you want to use the style or if you're just interested in it, from photo reference to the illustration, because it's very prevalent and today that we all use photo reference now that the technology is so accessible, but you have to know how to illustrate first before using photo reference. So I'm going to share my screen here. Oh wait, what the fuck? All right, so that video is going to play.
But it's kind of there's a lot of blue. Okay, now it works. Okay. Something opens, or I think you have kind of like a split.
Yeah. Half screen is just going to be this video playing just for
okay,
for whatever sake.
That's supposed to be a high format, like a portrait format video. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good.
I did it to fit in this little. Hey, it's like panels, guys. So as you see, my mind is already in panel form. Like you want to give information, here's a long panel, but the junk, the big stuff is happening here in this bigger panel. So I'll start work and then start telling you about my career. So I can't open this file because I guess the computer slows down when you share screen. So this might be terrible. But I started from the bottom now here. I went to New York when I was 18 and I started painting just because. And from the painting, I started to get into this Japanese art style. It's just like ukiyo-e paintings and just the Japanese prints. And I was always enamored with how they mastered these figures with just a simple line and barely any shading at all. And I hadn't learned about ligne claire at that point. So I started trying to do Japanese print style. And as I was doing that, I was keeping these frantic journals. Oh, this is too slow. This is going to be too slow. But I was keeping these journals that were graphic novel journals. And as I was doing that, I started implementing this Japanese style. And the more I did it, the more I started to study what I was actually doing. And then I learned it was ligne claire. So I just started doing that on my own and making books, because if you want to do comics, it's not about a pretty picture or one image like what I'm doing now. This one image I'm taking care of as a full illustration, but one has to believe that we're going to do maybe 150 of these for a graphic novel. And that's what I was doing, just practicing finishing books. And they were looking terrible because I didn't know how to make comics, but I thought from start to finish was probably the best idea. So I already started drawing this. It's just a car and some guitars, and I'm gonna color it. As I was doing these comics, I started going to this comic book shop, called Desert Island in New York. And in Desert Island, he basically let me show off these really terrible mini comics that I was doing. And from there, I felt empowered to like keep making them. And so I did, and I sold them at other comic book shops. And eventually I was a cartoonist. And I thought I should maybe start charging money for these things and doing that. So I started to do that. And that's when people started to notice the stories I was writing, because these stories I was writing was actually never meant to be an expression of my art. It was always journals that I would just share, kind of hoping to be anonymous, but just to get it out there because I had no one to talk to at the time. But I didn't want to make these autobiographical comics and graphic novels because like there's certain cartoonists like Jeffrey Brown, if you know, and that's what they do. And I didn't want to try to get into a territory that I really didn't know anything about. So I didn't want to try to get into the autobiographic novels because I thought they wouldn't understand the culture and just be shitty at it. So
Everett,
yep.
I think your sound is always going away, fading away when you are speaking. I don't know. There's a very big sound difference. Sometimes it's very quiet.
Okay.
Now it's loud again. But when you turn a little bit, then suddenly it's very, very silent.
Okay.
That's telling you.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll face the thing, and if it gets too quiet, I'll stop this drawing because maybe the computer is just super slow right now. Let me see if I can close stuff. What's this? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Is it okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't want to dabble in graphic memoirs, but I also wanted to tell my story. So I thought I could hide my personal stories behind action. So I was just doing action comics. As you see in the video, a lot of like guns and this guy, this me pouring gas to blow something up. And I would just use that as an allegory for my personal problem. So over time, that just became my method to write an allegory, to find an allegory. You know what's better? I think I'm just going to read one of my comics instead of doing this, because I think it's slowing down my computer. Change of plans, guys. 1 second. Let's read Unsmooth number 2. Hold on. And then you will see what I mean by allegory. And I find that writing is more important to me than the drawing, because I spent a great deal of time learning how to draw so that the drawing would become a bit of a tool and not so much something I needed to showcase or feel I needed to tell everybody about. It's actually, I think once it's in the back of your mind and you're comfortable with whatever your style is, one ought to just start to try to find your voice in the writing. And I think that's what cartooning is about, is putting as much as you can inside of these panels. So let's start with this here. All right. So let's go find one part of this where it's very allegorical. I mean, here's the background. A little background on me. My wife passed away while I was making this comic, for instance. And so I found a visual language to express that while also not being too macabre, because I'm always conscious of selling comic books. And I think that's a choice you will have to make eventually, is because this industry is two different worlds. There's expressive, artistic, beautiful comic making, but we occupy the same space as Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. and we're going to have to occupy those same bookshelves. So one has to be aware of your audience, and unfortunately your art style has something to do with that. So although I have this heavy personal topic, I try to make it through the ligne claire very approachable, so that I don't scare people off of my stories. So let's find a nice allegorical section here to explore. And maybe we can just do one page and break it down. Here we go. Here's a page. Let's see. Everything's super slow, so we probably have to do one page here. So let's go through this maybe panel by panel if we can. And as you saw, my photo reference is me. So imagine I took this photo, I used a reference, and then I have my main character, Bert here, who I use as a face model or whatever. Let's see. Can I zoom in? Can I zoom in? Either way, these are all out of order. So let's read this. All right. Let's say it's all personal, you know, because you want to share everything. I mean, what's the point of sharing if you're not sharing your whole self? That's what makes this art and not, you know, like making shoes. So let's say later, I've not known such freewheeling and monumental pain. Now that sentence there is like, oh, that's so sad. It's whatever. The guy's in pain. But that's why we have this cartoon gas bomb. You know, it consciously we're breaking the tension and allowing the reader to join us and have some fun. And that way they'll be able to kind of identify with their own sadness, which is the point for me. That's what I want to write about. But I'm always conscious of that stuff. And then it explodes. Oops. Sorry, guys. Let's go back. So it explodes. We fought so hard, but in the end, I still ultimately lost her. So it's explosion. Obviously, the allegory there is explosion in life. We saw so much in each other, but not in ourselves. That crack soon became a chasm. And for what? And he's choking on this poison gas, and he doesn't know where it's coming from. And that gives a visceral feeling of like, what is the shit in life that happens to us? Where does it come from? Who knows? And that's what these guys, the troublemakers, life's problems, they don't even know. They're look, where is he looking for you? You know, because it's a relentless world out there. But alas, the world doesn't stop. What we had together is over. Crunch. You know, you get the gas, but you also step on the glass, and you also get attacked even more by the world. Destroyed by relentless pressure of time and change. Jumping out the way, you know, staying strong, keeping your head up, but your feet are bloody, but you keep walking forward, you know. I find myself covered in scars, both outside and in, getting shot. But when this world drives you mad, live like a madman. That's pretty much, you know, fuck it. Fuck this stuff happening to me. I'm going to fight back because I know the scars will keep coming, and by God, I will keep shooting. So here we have, without the text, an action comic. It's a crime action comic, much like there's a series called 13 you guys could look up. It's a really cool spy series that ran for a long time. The guy's name. Oh, here's a real kicker. Here's one. Let's go through this sequence. Here's a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a couple page sequence. This was in a short anthology called Now. And it was my first time. This is when this comic was the first time a big publisher ever even wrote me back. And it was because I was too poor to send him samples of my work because I couldn't afford to print out a sample and send the sample. So I just printed the sample with a print on demand thing and then made the cover of it directly addressed to the publisher. So the title of the book was To Eric Reynolds. And he found that funny, and he gave me a chance to be in this anthology called Now. And then I put together this was one of the first times I really found my style, because I just threw everything I had ever drawn that year into it. So you see here, the characters reading a comic. That comic was a comic I had already drawn. I didn't know what to do with it. So I put it in this book and made it a part of the story because I wanted it to be very potent. But of course, the character is bored by it, because it's nothing to do with this allegorical storytelling that I wanted to do, which is a statement I wanted to make, that what you're going to get into looks like this, but it bores me. It doesn't really bore me, but I have to exaggerate my emotions for the page. So you see he falls asleep here, and immediately on the next panel, giving it ultimate space is a shocker, and it transports you straight into the story, because we're going from this one giant panel with a million little panels, and then we're getting a little bigger, and we're getting more close to the guy, and now suddenly we're in another space and we have a full panel alone, in a completely different outfit. So we're jumping through time. I'm sure Kai already told you guys about time and panel separation. So there it is. There's an example. So now we're in another sphere, and now he's doing this kind of dance, and there's questions being asked. Hey, you, son of a mother. Okay. Hey, you, what's happening to me? You know, keeps dancing. We're all in the mystery. The reader, the subject, this guy. Who's this guy? No one knows. You seem to be caught up in a psychic vortex I created around this building. You dance the dance of dreams, and I'm your guide. And these are our true forms. So now we're transporting again. We're going from reality to a dream within a dream, which is the layers of our actual consciousness we're dealing with here. And because we don't want to make a academic book about the layers of consciousness, we make sure that this guy looks like a clown, and then this other guy's a chicken with a suit on.
Could you zoom in a little bit so we can
let's
see the images bigger?
Oops.
Because it's quite dense, the comic. I mean, it's the page layout is very clear, but then there's the
That's better. Yeah, that is
looks
better.
good. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, great.
Yeah, great idea, Kai. Yep, there we go. So we can go back.
No, but continue.
Yeah. So I come here during work to pass the time, but it looks like you are a soul and need a misguided spirit. So what am I doing here? Let's see how many layers we have just in this one panel. As far as my thought process goes. One, does that chicken look like a black lady? No, chicken looks like a white guy. Where are we politically? We're very divided racially, politically, and especially from where I'm from, the States, and especially being a black man. So maybe I will be very uncomfortable defending peace among everybody, and that we shouldn't really be judging anybody, because I have white guys in my family. I feel really terrible about that they live in this world where it's okay to be racist towards them. But I can't say that in a book, because that's not my style. I keep my politics at the dinner table, but I want to express myself. So how do I do it? Maybe within every white guy, there's a black fawn lady leading the way. Who knows? That question is subconsciously injected into my readers, which gives them what I want to give them, instead of me having to place myself in any social danger, which no cartoonist should ever do. So follow me. Who are those people? They seem familiar. Souls which mingle with your own in your waking life lie dormant in this dreamscape. So these are all just characters from his waking life, because we're in a dream, and in a dream we always see elements of our life. Take this horse. I feel that I must. You know that you must. And now we cut back to a sequence which I haven't shown you guys, but this woman is traveling, looking for a muse, and she's a songwriter. But this is just a part of the comic. It's just jumping time-wise. So she's on this train trying to write some lyrics. And then the voiceover, still in the dream world, is for you have a train to catch. How do I go to the next page? I think I click. Let's see. Now it goes backwards. Let's see, it goes. Okay, so now we're back here. Zoom in. I bet I did not do zoom in. I bet I just, yeah. Sorry, my computer's slow, guys. This is the part of not being a millionaire that sucks, because I don't have a really nice computer at all. Let's go here. Wait a second. Okay, we're going backwards in time. So you see the chicken, he's working at this tech startup. That's how we got there anyway. And that was another statement I wanted to make, that even some guy you might see at a tech startup might be really into existential mind traveling. So I think we all should choose a mission, and one of my main missions is just to eliminate stereotypes. So here we go. Now this is what I suggest is, when you find a style and you find something you like, always remember why you like it. So if you like a very loose line and it's because you saw like some comic or maybe just a zine or whatever that had that loose line, always remember where you came from and always try to inject a bit of that in your work so that you can participate in the history of that. Otherwise, you're going to be by yourself. You don't want that, trust me. So here, this is my kind of reflection on the Prince Valiant comics that I liked so much. And those comics were very just well timed with the sequences of action, and just his cloak and the sword and etc. I just wanted to make a bit of a Prince Valiant vibe. And if you look at Prince Valiant, this looks nothing like it, but it's something there. So I'm not saying copy or just put something there, but sometimes take a page to reflect on what made you do this in the first place. And usually it will remind your readers of something that they also love, which will put you in the pantheon of things people love. And that's how you end up with other people thinking your shit is good, even if you're like very insecure like myself. So Godspeed, young man. And here we have a small action sequence, which is always fun, you know, and it's also a break between the heavy topics and both the heavy reading and the heavy cerebral topics that are introduced. So I just give a little fun here. And this is where we can show off our drawing. It's just all about choosing where to place your ego and how potent. It makes it more potent if you just choose like a small space to be egotistical and then devote the rest to the story and be a slave to the story, really. So he catches the horse and it shows that he's gentle, you know. So let's zoom back out. I think that would be the best way to get through this, maybe. Yeah, okay. So now we're starting to get back. Now we're starting to mix worlds. Now he's racing. Where's he racing to? Elsewhere. I started making music as a way to get over my family history. My past, the blues came to me like a galloping horse, like a dashing knight come to wake me from a dream. So now we're starting to get this idea that maybe there's some connection between this guy on the horse and this woman on the train. Why am I trying to type these lyrics when the source is out there? Again, she's looking for a muse, which here we have a male muse and a female artist, which is another statement I'm making consciously, like a muse, getting closer. And now she's starting to drift off into her own version of inspiration. Although I'm keeping the language the same, we know she's going somewhere because we remember these Kirby dots. from when the guy in the car went to the dream world. So although I'm not using it in the same way, she's not dancing, she's not meeting anybody out there, she doesn't need a guide, which is also a statement. We know, because I'm following my own rules of transfer to the dream world, means that the Kirby dots, which are these are called Kirby dots. It's how Jack Kirby made space in some of his older Marvel comics. That means we're transitioning to the dream world. So I'm very much following my own rules. Although I'm doing this book over a number of years, I'm sticking to those rules. No matter what I feel and no matter what I develop artistically, I'm sticking to old rules so that the book is coherent. And if I have new stuff that I want to express, I just start another book. I would suggest doing that too. So right now, I would say I have like 3 books cooking with different shit in it, if you know what I'm saying. So now I want to do a bit of showing off, but I also want people to understand this woman she doesn't talk at all during this whole, I think she says 2 things in the whole comic. So with the absence of words, I have to give her more action, more panels than almost everybody else in the book. So here she is drifting, and she's starting to see herself, and she gets this butterfly, and she's drifting off the train, and she's floating up into that dream world, the same dream world that we found our cloaked, weird clown character in. She's reaching the dream world, and she doesn't need a guide, so she's just floating there, and here she is. Her face is kind of piercing through this transitional place into the dream world. So now you see her other persona. And now she's kind of reaching out through that dream world. And it gives you a feeling of her personality without saying anything. She's sitting on a train by herself, she's silent, but this is how she visualizes her transition to a dream world. So that says a lot about her, and her clothes and her hairstyle, and the fact that she wears sunglasses says a lot. Let's continue. So here she is in the dream world, almost surprised to be there, because inspiration doesn't just come, and she was just looking for it, and here she is like, wow, I actually found it now. And now she's back in her kind of Prince Valiant form. And now she's run into this guy. Now this is a gangster at a tech startup sitting in a car. She is a blues singer who just got out of jail, driving on a train 1,000,000 miles away from each other. And now they just met in this dreamscape. And here's the chicken that had guided them together, almost like a Cupid. And all this stuff is hidden behind the cartoonish nature of the character design. By choice. I don't want to make a big classic story about Cupid and knights and all this stuff. Although these are, I would say 50% of these compositions are based on Dutch paintings, and his hat is based on Dutch paintings, and his cape is based on Dutch paintings, and their outfits, and all of this very Prince Valiant-ish themes. I'm hiding behind a kind of cartoony vibe, and I'm not stating anything deliberately. I'm letting the reader think she's a Cupid or not. That's just what I'm interested in, but I'm also thinking about the readers, and maybe they don't want to have a story about Cupid. That's my own insecurity, and you should always let your insecurity drive you, so that you can be scared of shit and end up with new solutions. Don't be too confident, actually. I don't think it works. My work is done. Time for me to get back to my desk. So it's a reminder, because I already know through that sequence with the horse and through the sequence with the floating up, and I know my skill level, I know my storytelling level, I know the attention span of the reader. They probably don't even remember where the hell this person came from. So let me just in my mind, I'm thinking of stuff. Let me just remind them, because I'm always thinking of the book as a whole one thing. You're my muse. If you search, I wish I remembered the name of the painting, but this is this is directly from a painting of, I think, King Arthur and Guinevere. It's a beautiful painting. I wish I could tell you the painter, but I forgot. Why turn me away? Because you're waking up. So you get to taste this achievement of your goals, but let's remember who's writing this, and it's a very pessimistic writer. So no, you don't get to have it. In fact, it's completely interrupted. And his friend just splashes into his dreamscape, interrupting him and reminding him that they need to go back upstairs to get rid of a body, because this character here has chosen to be a hitman instead of an artist, which, if we want to take it allegorically, it's finding the trouble with being an artist and having to make a living, and choosing what you might feel like isn't your main thing. Yeah. So, yo, I need you to come upstairs. This dude seems like a flight risk. You okay? I'm not an artist. I'm a killer. So there it is. There's the center of the whole comic right there. And I think that's what cartooning is about. This is my entire journal for that year. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time saying stuff, because I know that we all have problems. And my job isn't to tell you my problems. My job is to help you feel like your problems are okay. So I thought to myself, over all the time of drawing, how can I get this expression that I want to say? Because we all want to cry on somebody's shoulder. How can I say, man, I feel like I have to quit being an artist, and it's really making me feel bad. Oh, I'm struggling. And I just drove everyone to make it okay for me to say, I'm not an artist, I'm a killer. And through this, you can kind of feel what he's saying, because it's not just a simple, he's going around killing people and then making paintings, and then it's a movie that you pay like $9 to go see. So let's go back on. So I think that's the end of the sequence. Let me double check here. Yeah, I think that's the end. Second. Yeah, and it gets into this, which now is I don't know if I'm gonna go through this one, because this now is now I'm being very symbolic with even the panel layout, where now that I've introduced this theme of split, kind of a person being split between what they have to do in the real world and what they want to be in the dream world, which is, this guy's a killer, but he wants to be an artist or a knight. And this woman, this blues singer, this is her past. And actually, she's the daughter of a very violent crime syndicate. She wants to be an artist, but she's actually stuck being kind of a criminal. So they're both polar opposites, but they actually want to just want to chill out. But she's more cracked up than him, and even her memories are kind of broken. And again, I don't feel comfortable saying any of this stuff directly to my audience. So I try to find ways to stay true to what I want to say, but allow my insecurity to run the show. Because if I try to fight it, then I'm just going to get all depressed and start drinking everything. I'll just go through it slowly so you can see. But you can see. I mean, I'll zoom in a bit on some, but. And then we reel it in with her. We reel it in with her. This is her, you know. It's not me, the author. It's not the comic you're reading. It's the character who's creating this. And that's why we bring it back to her notebook. I think it's always interesting to have creating inside of your comic, because it really brings the reader into the space, and they think that it's real, because it's like Inception. You want to go as deep as you can and drag people as deep as you can into the layers, because we're only working with this 2D surface. That's all we have is this flat paper. So how can we create debt? We have to create cerebral debt. So that's what we're doing. That's what it's all about, cerebral depth. So there it goes right there. Let's zoom out. I'm gonna find another short. And here's an example of integrating my New Yorker stuff into my work. So I took this idea of having books within the comics because I love books and book design and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna go to college and start all over to be a book designer. So luckily, I can do it in the pages of the comic. Isn't that fun? So here we have a kind of what I would dream if my agent or any publisher would be interested in having poetry with cartoons, which they aren't. This is what it would look like. So not only am I like making a business card for potential agents, I'm actually living the dream I want to live without having to ask anybody to publish it because I'm already in as a cartoonist. You get it? So we can zoom in on this. So that's just a poem. We've all written poems. I don't need to read it to you. It's just, it probably sounds like yours. So, but this is a joke that got rejected from the New Yorker. I thought it was funny. I didn't throw it away. Don't throw away anything. Just repurpose it. So I just put it in here. And this maybe said something else in the original poem, and I just changed a word. And that is a part of, the pages are mixed up because I had to do some editing, which is a whole nother part of this process. When you start working with an editor, get ready to do extra shit. So here's my dream book. You know, this is basically and y'all know Storch und Wolf, right? That's a classic story. So I'm telling my viewers I live in Germany. I like German culture by saying Storch und Wolf because it's like an inside joke.
I don't know Storch and Wolf.
Really?
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's a statue. It's like it's a statue at I think it's at Kleist Park. It's like
okay, it's a statue. Okay. Where the wolf opens the mouth?
Yeah.
All right. But
yeah, and the story of that is the Storch came to the wolf, said, "Hey, Storch, help me," and the wolf said, or the Storch was like, "Okay, I'll help you, but don't kill me," or something like this, yeah. or you have to pay me. And the wolf said, "Okay, just get this bone out of my mouth, and I'll pay you." And so the Storch puts his beak in the wolf's mouth, takes the bone out, and the wolf just walks away without saying anything. And the Storch is like, "Hey, what's up? You didn't pay me." And the wolf says, "I did pay you. I didn't close my mouth and bite your head off." I always thought that was a very interesting story. It just really, that's my vibe. So I put that there as an inside joke, but I also got to make my book without having an editor or having to spend any money on printing or anything. And I got to show, it's not even about showing, it's about, I have something to express. Do I want to do this now or do I want to wait? And some stuff I can't wait for, like I want to make an animation. I know I got to wait a couple years, but this book, I don't feel like waiting. So I just do a couple pages. Why not? And then when I actually get it out of my system, I realized I only wanted to do a couple of pages. And I only had a few New Yorker cartoons that I thought was a shame. That, why didn't this get published? You guys, it's funny. Why? So I just put them here. Let's see if I can find an actual funny one. And with these, I'm not thinking about context at all. I'm actually taking this space in the book to kind of reveal myself as the author and what I'm into. I'm into poetry and books. That way, it's that autobio element, again, because I'm too insecure to just make an autobio. I'm trying to I'm being passive aggressive about my autobiographical writing. So I'm just hoping that people think, oh, this is him, this is Everett. And this is I thought I chose 3 cartoons that like embody my humor. Like if I was at a dinner table, what would my jokes be? And it definitely would be this Black Jesus here with Mary and Joseph And I know the screen is a little fucked up, but if you look closely at this wise man here, he's looking very surprised. And Mary says, "It's a miracle." And that's the miracle of Christmas, everybody. And I'm just a giant rampaging gorilla standing in front of a girl asking her to love me. It's a New York pun, you know. God or King Kong and the Statue of Liberty. What if they got together? Dad humor. That's a poem. You can read it if you want. And dude, people are starting to complain about your work area and his death. And it's just like, he's just busy. He's just been busy. Which, once a person knows what I went through while drawing this comic, it makes this a little bit more ominous, but I don't have to go through the embarrassment of telling everybody the sad story, which I just don't do. But I'm trapped in a body that wants to express that sadness. So I'm using my true self. I'm very much finding it as important as writing, as drawing, to really know yourself very well and use everything, like everything about yourself without embarrassment, because actually these things we're making are going to be around when we're dead, and really you don't have to face the embarrassment of whatever the hell you're saying because you're dead. So fuck it, do it. So here's one that's more, this one is for a kind of a culture magazine in London. It's called Hook Magazine. And so because I drew this without thinking it would be in my own personal book, I had to kind of make this allegory quite obvious. So at this time I was, I think, struggling with alcohol or something, and I was really finding it hard to face myself and to know who I was, because I found it so important. And then I lost it. Who the hell am I? What do I like? Oh no, after all this stuff happened to me, I don't even know what movies I like anymore. So here we are with this very, very obvious allegory of the doppelganger. And it's, where am I? And again, reducing the words, reducing the heaviness, and letting the viewer catch these vibes cerebrally. But you don't have to overthink how to put your personal message in, as long as you're only thinking that every panel you do, you're consciously just injecting it, almost like magic, guys. I hate to tell you that, but it's kind of like magic. You have to like put a spell on everything. So if you draw a fucking smiley face, and at the end of the day, you want the smiley face to help everybody learn that being a vegan is a good idea, then you have to think about that as you're drawing a smiley face, no matter what, period. And if you're not thinking about it and you want to send that message, it will not come across. If you are thinking about it, somebody somewhere is going to say, somehow the smiley face makes me think of the smile of a fish, and I don't want to eat fish anymore. So here we go. Where am I? Run. Longer fall than expected. Come on, guys. It's obvious. Falls into the dirt. Now he's dirty. He's looking for himself. What the fuck was that? Self. Constantly shooting. The clean one. Sunglasses. Looking all fresh. The cool guy. And then here's the dirty self. I have to face myself. That's what, 5 words? So that's a whole journal there in 5 words. Eventually, bam! No, you don't. Keep on drinking. No, fuck that. You're not gonna stop me. Boom. Shot him. Shot himself. But it's not, you can't read that as Everett's sad, he wants to commit suicide. One has to read this as Everett's sad, he's not gonna give up. And that's the message. And it's not, hey guys, I'm sad, I don't give up. It's, hey guys, if you're sad, you don't have to give up. That's the message I want to give, that I want to come across. Let's keep going. And again, these are all, I would say, 99% photo reference. And I wish that if I ever do this again, guys, I'm going to bring some comics, because I know that I'm hiding behind action, So I'm always reading action comics, and I'm always, because I don't want to get caught stealing sequences or stealing poses, I'm always looking for crazy obscure shit to rip off, because that's what comics is all about. That's where we get into sellable comics, because we're still in the world of Spider-Man. And how does Spider-Man last 100 years? And this a guy in tights flipping around, same girlfriend, never ages. It's because we're just repeating the same stuff in different ways and different styles, and that's what the comic is. It's a reproduction. The whole nature of comics is reproduction. So I'm taking my favorite Van Ham action poses, and then I'm taking some movies that I like, and I'm thinking to myself, what if the guy, I see a cool scene in a movie, what if the guy in that whatever this Mad Max, what if he was a hitman instead of a whatever Mad Max driver? So I take that pose that looks so cool that made me have that thought, and then I put the hitman on there. And although it's unique, it's still stealing. But when you, it's just I'm using kind of compositional reference. I'm referencing compositions, and I'm creating new compositions. So this could be maybe half my imagination, half a movie where a motorcycle guy fell off a motorcycle, and then I'm just putting it together in my own sequence here. Well, that was a rough job. I certainly deserve a break. Here it is, those personal demons creeping around again, shooting at him. Pow, pow. And what's behind the demon? Let's go. Sorry, guys. What's behind the demon? What is that message I'm trying? What is that confession I'm trying to give, guys? Because we're talking autobiography. What's that? Cheap beer. Oh wow. Looks like somebody's struggling with it. Shot him off the bike. Oh, I was going so good. I was gonna take a break. I felt so relaxed. Life is work and suffering. Oh, these days. Oh, you fucking idiot. Don't you know I know that? Shooting at him. I'm used to this, man. You're not telling me anything new. I'm just trying to take a fucking break. Takes him out. Squeak. He's still shooting because he's still shaking up. To have the guy keep shooting, and it gives this visceral feeling of his personality through his actions. And so we don't need to say shit. Ah, geez, man. Can a guy get a break? We got a whole emotional shit here with just a cartoon devil, no rules set up, no context, nothing. Just here he is in this page. This have a nod to that Prince Valiant vibe too. And as you see this, it feels like we're continuing a story, but I'm separating with these numbers, and I'm separating it with the different outfits. And it's just kind of a amalgamation of the same vibe happening to this woe is me character because he got the bandages, but different. So it's just, it gives, again, I'm trying to tell my audience to be very depressed without telling them to be very depressed. I'm tricking them to be very depressed. And here's Robert Crumb saying, spare change. Man, can't you see I'm fucked up? Now we get into, I'll say this, but I'm guessing y'all know, like when it's these yellow, the rules of most action comics is these yellow panels is always like kind of a voiceover. So we save other people. Oh no, Philip. I'm coming, buddy. Oh, what's going on? Don't come up, because we want to save ourselves. And here I'm telling, who is Philip? What does he do? What is the last thing he does when there's a burning building? What does he grab? I'm thinking that. I'm consciously thinking that to give these subconscious hints to the reader without having to write. Because I'm writing through the drawing, because it's comics. So this is a long story. It's not a one page. It's a long, short story. And I'm conscious every panel. What's going on here? Is he a smoker? How much money does he make? What is he doing? Why is he sleeping in his clothes, etc.? All that stuff is what, if it was on paper, it would be written out and it would be, oh, that's a good story. I'm sorry, I know you're here to help, but I better skedaddle. But we can't save other people. And you're just running down the stairs. And again, I always take a little time to just, if my friends read it. This is a girl I used to have a crush on, and that didn't work out, but I put her letter there. It's like having tattoos that you don't have to have on your body. You can always do that, your work, because it's yours. And he's opening the door, whoosh, light, whoosh, beep, beep. Wah. And so this is like his own little journey. You know, he's going on his own journey. He's like, I'm sorry, I know you're here to help, but this is my personal journey, but my own journey. You get it? It's like, but, and now he doesn't have to say anything because everything after that but, what he's saying is through the action. And we're like, who's that running downstairs? It must be the guy who threw the Molotov cocktail. I did this to myself. And then you see the reveal that actually it was him who threw the Molotov cocktail to himself. So between this and the last sequence, we realized that multiple people are fighting themselves. So we can't save other people from themselves. And he robs the car. Let's go another. I think this was a 4-page little thing. Yeah. So now, or maybe 5. So now that I've established that we're in this world of doppelgangers, now I can really go into the same vibe, because this is deeper in the book. And I have to say I'm very conscious of this stuff, and you don't have to be. But just be aware that you're creating, if your goal is to create a book, just be aware that you want to kind of echo your stuff. You want to echo certain things throughout the book to make it feel coherent. So I'm echoing that sequence, that wordless sequence, with catching the horse and ending in peace, with now here's this person fighting against himself instead of accepting that dream state and just going with the guide and going with the muse and just going with the flow of the universe. Now he's fighting himself and he's reading into himself, which we'll get into with the text. But you see that it ends up very, very violent. And that's the message I want to give. Like just go with it, be yourself. And that's my little personal be a vegan vibe. So what are you reading? Horoscopes. What's ours say? Do you really want to know? As I am your darker half. Again, this is in a magazine, so I'm being very blatant at this point. As I'm your darker half, yes, I do. Well, it says, stay away from toxic. You're a fraud. What? A loser. Crack. Shut up. A fool. Clank. All these sound effects, I'm making sure that I'm using the style of, I'm very conscious that these are universally recognized lettering, or something like Tom and Jerry or something. And I'm referencing that hyperviolence. All this is conscious. That's why I choose these style bubble letters and not like anime style or something like that. Because I know that the subject matter is heavy, and I'm aware that everybody's not picking up a comic to cry. So I'm doing everything I can to hide that heavy subject matter. No, fuck, hit him with the newspaper. Funny pose, with the shoes, with the socks, Clack, you're weak. Fuck off. Now this is the private self of this character. So now we get to see the unbiased view of the writer, which should be all of us. We cannot just be up in our shit thinking we're right about everything. So we have to take a moment to look at ourselves from the outside, and we have to show that through our work. So here's that. Well, I'm going to go see E.S. Glenn about a gig. What an honor. Now there's a guy who's got his shit together. Here we are. You get it? And now he's outside of the strip club, and it looks like a pretty bad neighborhood, and that's where I live. But this guy sees none of that. This guy just thinks I'm great. And that's the message I want to give to my readers, that You could be really fucking going through it, and other people are not going to see that shit, and maybe you look amazing to them. So use your insecurities for other shit, but not to run your life. Okay. So now that I made that statement, without making a statement, now I have a resolution. Man, we really let the place go during all this turmoil. All that fighting yourself really kind of like lost a bit. You're looking bad. You know, you're not looking as good as the bear thinks, as you might have used to be. Ugh, Jesus. Look at me. I'm so nervous that I bought a new suit. Oh shit, it's him. Who the fuck are you? Wait, that's not. So this is the result of fighting yourself. Your darker self will be more visible. I'm saying all that in these fucking cartoons. But I don't want to say it because I don't have a psychoanalyst degree or anything. I'm not allowed to say that, technically speaking. So I have to use the craft to its full potential. Flips on a condom. Whoa! Gag. Why? Because it's a comic. Better be funny. Son of a bitch left his stink all over me. Walks off. All cerebral shit. Let's get into some New Yorker stuff. Do we have time?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's get to some New Yorkers. I'm only going to do the ones that sold because the ones. Well, I'll show you the reality real quick. So let's go to New Yorker. So this is my life, pretty much this is my real life. Now, drawing comics, I do as an expression of all the stuff I told you. This is my job. This is what pays the bills. And it does pay the bills, guys. It is possible, but I'm not driving a fancy car or eating good food or anything like that. I'm just literally paying the bills. So let's look at how many cartoons have I sold in 2 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 18, I guess. That's 2 years, all right? Now, how many cartoons do you think I've drawn in 2 years? Any guesses? Anybody? No?
Oh dear. I hope it's not too many more. Triple
go.
that. Yeah.
This is all the cartoons I've drawn. Let's say 218. So every week you got to do 7. And you mostly get rejected. I think this might even be a backup. This might even be like a start over folder, but I'm not sure. But a lot of these are not funny. A lot are not funny that I thought were really funny. Like here's one I thought was funny. And it really shows like what is New Yorker. This is not New Yorker at all. So I was getting that COVID, the test, you know, the thing where they test you. And it really stung my nose. And I thought, how crazy it is. I got to go back here and just get this shoved in my nose every week or every day, even if I want to do anything. And I thought, how funny would it be if some people were like really into that sting and they're just lined up with fetish outfits and just their nose exposed. I thought, oh, haha, that's really funny. Then I realized this is whenever there's a certain targeted group, even if you're not targeting anybody, but this lands the joke on fetishes. That separates them. That makes this a non-New Yorker cartoon. It's too political. It's not, first of all, it's not that funny, but the main thing is I learned over time that New Yorker cartoons are not about putting the joke on a certain group. And it doesn't matter what that group is because you never know. I mean, you don't know what I do when I'm done with this lecture. I could have, you don't know what's behind me. So
you shouldn't be a subculture, you mean?
Yeah, well, it shouldn't
be. It has to be always very universal. The groups that you.
It should be, you know, it shouldn't be making fun of anybody. So you shouldn't do like dogs are better than cats, like a cartoon about how much cat sucks and how much cooler dogs are. You should never really take a strong side, and you have to find humor in other things. So this, even though I'm not making fun of fetishes, I'm just saying it feels like a fetish to get your nose dug into every week. And then the caption, actually, I didn't show the caption. the caption says first time, because he's the only one not like totally turned on by this. But it's too I feel like it's too, it just doesn't, I feel like it doesn't make these people look normal. It says, I feel like it makes these people look weird. And I don't think that translates well to New Yorker stuff. Whereas like something like this style of joking, where I learned that New Yorker jokes take the same concept of time, and they kind of want you to, there has to be some animation happening, and it's kind of like a real cartoon. So here you see there's this nice dinner with the candelabra. Here's with a suit, but it's all destroyed. You know what's funny? I totally interpreted your text message as I'm not coming over after all. Crazy, right? Let me buzz you. So it's like this guy totally flipping out after he thought somebody said they canceled on him. And you don't see him flipping out. You actually see him being nice. And that juxtaposition is pretty much the basis of all New Yorker cartoons, to juxtapose what you're seeing with the nature of the joke. So here's the sold ones, and we'll see how that plays off. Let's see this one. So here's one. Sisterhood of the traveling wine no one wants. Everybody's smiling, everybody's giving gifts, and the picture itself without the text is showing this beautiful exchange of here's a gift, but actually everybody's just getting rid of their wine. So it's a juxtaposition of giving, but you're giving to kind of for a selfish reason. Let's see another one here. I got your message. Just wanted to let you know you spelled desperately wrong. See, you would expect that they would say, "Oh, I'm coming to save you," and you don't have to read what he wrote. Desperately in need and blah 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 blah. It's that time I'm playing with. Here's another one that's kind of funny, I think. I was told to bring myself and my overpriced chicken salad with me. So it's like, what happened there? Went to somebody, a customer told him, go to hell, bring that fucking chicken salad with you. And it's a mundane event, very plain, but when you're able to kind of show the aftermath of something, and then that aftermath is just once you show the aftermath of something animated, and then that aftermath is in the sphere of a juxtaposition, you have created a successful New Yorker cartoon, guaranteed. So the animation that happened was, here's a guy at a restaurant pissed at this overly happy waiter. The animation is over. By the time the animation is over, now you have, without the text, an overly happy person in hell, which is a total juxtaposition. So that's how you get there. And I would say once I learned that, I started really selling regularly, which just started now. Kind of makes me happy. And the way I got into the New Yorker was that Emma Allen, the current editor there, she found my graphic novel just on her own searching, and she just said, well, I love your work, and I just want you to kind of do something for the magazine. So it was really up to me what I would do, because again, traditional cartooning is not what I ever signed up for. And actually, I even taught myself the style after I got hired. My early ones are just black and white versions of my regular stuff. I'll show you. I mean, this is just a black and white version of a comic panel from Unsmooth, really. I mean, it's even I use myself. But over time, I started reading the great New Yorker cartoonists, because I didn't, like I said, with even putting in Prince Valiant in, you don't want to do anything absent from the history of the style you're in. So after a while, I started reading more and understanding the techniques and how do New Yorker comics look, how do they feel, Then I started learning how to write the jokes, and I just created rules for myself to have to work around. So I very rarely have a true case of writer's block. I mean, sometimes I really put off drawing my New Yorker cartoons until Tuesday. They're due on Tuesday, and I'll just draw 7 of them very quickly, really, because I created a set of rules that I just stick to, and through the week, I'm not having to worry what am I going to draw. I can just collect jokes. I can just walk around, find something funny, write it down, and then just, okay, does this fit New Yorker, or is this just a kind of funny joke? And then
The last one was very apropos to your audience here, I would say.
which one?
Yeah, the web design templates.
Yeah.
That's certainly a discussion.
There you go, guys.
In a design school, yeah.
Yeah. You get it? You know, it's like that. So it's exactly like, so this vibe of like where to put it. I would just send this over to y'all and be like, there you go. Y'all had a newsletter or something. I'd be like, yeah, here's one that fits. This one is the last one I sold, and I'll show you how these things work. I sometimes have 2 versions of it. So this is a bookstore. Now this is my nerdy version of the one that sold. But this one didn't sell. No, I just wanted to stop by and see if you guys had an online shop. So I thought that was funny, because it's like most people buy their books online, and it's like, no, but it didn't sell. But I also thought of the same. I thought of the same setting, but a different joke, and I just thought, oh, why draw it again? just change it to a bank, and you can do it. So I'd like to get my withdrawal in either cryptocurrency or social media exposure. And then you have a kind of a New Yorker joke where the juxtaposition happens in the text, and then, or the animation happens in the text, and it's the same elements but switched, where it's mostly about the text. So you don't, when the joke is mostly the punchline in a New Yorker cartoon, I just usually keep it very simple, because that's what I learned from looking at it.
Isn't it also, hasn't it been the case also that in the New Yorker, that a lot of the cartoonists, the classic cartoonists, they would just do a drawing, and then other people, authors, would provide the captions for the gag?
That happened to me once, and it does happen. It's called the caption contest.
Okay.
And then there's also some people who work with partners, but usually you have to come up with the joke and the caption. But if you have something that looks kind of okay, and it has some appeal, but the joke isn't very funny, you will end up with in the caption contest, and then other people can come up with it. Let me see if I can find the one that was for that. Because I think when there's a strong visual concept, it works, and then it gives room for other people. It's a Christmas one. Here. It's that juxtaposition vibe again, really. Because here you have Santa, you know, in the same. It's the same, but you know he's writing a naughty list or something like that. So there's room here to make your assumption.
Yeah, I guess that's a perfect one to invite people to come up with different captions.
Exactly.
Because
you're creating this kind of like this energy field with this juxtaposition here.
But you don't happen to have the one that made it.
This one made it to the.
Yeah, but the caption that they used.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying. It's not funny. I can tell you that.
Okay. All right.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh man, yeah, I know it's not funny. And the thing is, I was trying to sell this gag forever. I mean, I don't know if you can see this. I was trying to sell this same gag in different ways forever. I'm just gonna bring all the iterations of the same gag, because sometimes I think something's funny and I'm like, I'm gonna sell this shit. So here we see, it's the same. It's the same gag. When I was like, y'all got to, come on, man. Don't you think this is funny? And they were like, no, every time. I always get a little sad looking at this, because I'm like, what a wasted potential. But I think one day I'm gonna go and like rework all of them and make a book or something.
Yeah, I guess so. If you're a classical artist, New Yorker cartoonist, then you would hope that you can, pad out your book collections with the refused ones or something like that.
Exactly. I'm too insecure, and I because I'm not like I really don't think I've nailed that New Yorker humor. I sincerely think a lot of these are just not funny.
I think number 83 is the one with the caption.
Good eye, brother. There it is. This next one probably won't fit into a stocking. It makes the problem is the ambiguousness of this word right here. This next one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I would have taken more time and thought, okay, what is the concept I'm trying to get across? The concept I'm trying to get across is here he is kind of making a list for Santa, and that list consists of all his angst. And so maybe one of his angst is so big that it wouldn't fit into a stocking. Again, not funny, but maybe would have worked a little better than this next one. Maybe if I would, I don't know now, but this total non-clear text, but the concept in my mind was so strong that I think it translated to the drawing, which made the drawing stronger than the text, because I was mostly I had this joke in my head before I thought of the drawing. And so I really just, you can see from the detail, I just basically spent the whole time drawing this. And then I thought, oh, I have it so in my head that the text is just going to come. And it did not.
Yeah, it's still too much ambivalence, because I read it differently. I was thinking like he is taking a psychiatrist session as an occasion to just talk about his wishes, and so like he's talking to Santa, but and then kind of overdoing it.
Kai, and I think that's why they took it for just the picture, because I think it gives that interpretation. I think it's the kind of picture where it's interpretable like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the vibe. And then sometimes I really get caught up in the cartooning obvious jokes vibe, which just doesn't work for a magazine like New Yorker. And there's too many of these for me to feel comfortable showing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very fitting for like a more indie comics context, like I don't know, a gag in a comics magazine, more likely.
Exactly.
So
and it's like, and that's where I'm from, so I'm basically fighting this every week. Because to me, this is what I would love if it was just like you're reading the super serious New Yorker and it's like, what did it beach?
But I think it's a great exercise, of course, a professional exercise, but also for our audience here to consider that you always should try, and as Everett points out, put something of yourself in it, but also be very conscious of the professional context. So and to really make it a positive schizophreny, like not totally be kind of burdened by it, but say, okay, what's my version of being that person that would be a New Yorker cartoonist in this case, but your version.
That's exactly it.
So kind of not just like trying to be something you're not, but to make money and then just suffering and not being convincing and hating your job.
Yeah, I think this exactly what you're saying was that journey from, I would say, from around here down. I started to think exactly what you're saying, and I started to think, what is E.S. Glenn's New Yorker cartoonist? Not how to draw New Yorker cartoonists to get paid. Yeah. What are the things I want to say? What are those same cerebral messages I try to do on one page? And now here's the new challenge. Not only is it one page, now you have to do that in one panel. So I started to take time and think about those kind of messages. And then I come up with these kind of cartoons where I think it would fit more in like a New Yorker, where it's like, instead of SOS, he just draws an oil thing and he's going to get all the help he needs, because of course they're going to come and save him. And that's like my own little like I was saying, I'm too afraid to say these politics in words. So I can just try to say it in vision. And even in that case, I thought it was too many words, and I thought it was too on the head. So then I made it even more ambiguous, but still kept my voice.
I mean, for this, yeah. for the one, I mean, this kind of, now I know it's not exactly the same thing, but the oil rig, whatever you call it, is kind of that's Unsmooth in your case, no? That attracted the editor. Instead of saying, please give me a job, I need money, and here is my portfolio, unpublished stuff, like 1 million other people, you just put something out there, and then people react to it and suddenly come up, but invite you into a context that you probably didn't think about before, and now you're trying to actually, what would I want to do there?
Exactly. So I went in exactly like you're saying. I went in with I didn't want to struggle with the rejections and with being on a pile, and I didn't want to pause drawing to try to get a job. I just drew, and I thought of, I don't think of, and guys, one shouldn't think of editors and mostly editors and art directors and who you're going to work with. You cannot think of them as titles. These are people. And if you get hired, you're going to be working with these people. These are going to be your friends or your associates for the next however long you work for wherever you work, or however long you work for your editors, or however long you submit. And with that in mind, when I sent that copy of Unsmooth to Eric, I sent it to Eric Reynolds, not to the head publisher at Fantagraphics. I had been worshiping Fantagraphics books forever, but I didn't think, how can I get into Fantagraphics? I thought, well, Fantagraphics is where I would like to be published, and so I'm not gonna like if I'm gonna be published there, I might as well start with an introduction. Let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Everett. I'm gonna be published here now because I know your work. I know what you publish. I know the type of stuff you publish. I know the caliber of work you publish. I'm completely egoless. I'm not afraid of you at all. And I'm focused on you. And so here's my first book. Here's the first Fantagraphics book. And he said, no. He said, okay, well, this doesn't work for Fantagraphics, but this is good shit. I'll give you however many pages you want out of something I have more control over. And that's when I even found out the inner workings of Fantagraphics, that even Eric didn't have the power to just publish me whenever he wanted. And that was another realization that he's going to work. He's working for Fantagraphics. There's a whole team of people. And he has his own side projects, which is this anthology. And I realized, he just happens to be a person whose side project gets more views than another person who has a side project. So I'm not really concerned with the gravity of the company or any of this stuff. It doesn't, if I become concerned, it'll blind me and I'll start worrying about it, like I was with these earlier New Yorkers. Oh shit, I never thought I would be in a New Yorker. Let me draw some New Yorker cartoons. Is this funny? Is this funny? And none, didn't sell shit. But once I just understood, okay, here's a guy, I'm gonna be working with him. What do I want to share? And then I just sent him the book with his name on it. Hey, Eric, what's up? Here it is. And he said, well, okay, there you go. You can do whatever you want. You can have as many pages as you want, which was basically, do you want to be published with, and we both can sneak you in there because nobody knows you. And that's how things work. And even here now, I've never even, I did one fun animation in my life, but even now I'm working on an animated project from just sitting at home. Here, hold on. Watching a lot of stuff. Let me see if I can find this. Not having any animation software, but deciding I want to make an animation. Let me see if it even works. if I don't have it, no, this is the reference, the photo reference to it. Okay, I did an 8-frame animation that I just can't show you. Maybe I can just zoom in. And again, I looked at an animator that I liked, Ralph Bakshi. I just had the vibe of I want to make an animation. I want to make a real one, guys. I'm not saying I want to make an animation for fun. I'm a fan of a person who makes animations for millions of euros. And because of that, that's what I want to make, period. I live in a 1-bedroom place in Spandau, okay? But because I'm not limited to what I think I can do and just going for what I want to do, I just decided, okay, I'm going to make it look like that $1 million cartoon, that Ralph Bakshi cartoon that I like. And I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to skimp. I'm going to make sure it looks like that. I'm going to take part in history. Next thing you know, I have these 8 little things. If you just play it like I'm doing now and blend them and put some very nice music, it looks like an animation. And when you have that, you have something. And then you use that something and you start asking around, not can you please give me this thing for free? I'd have nothing for it. Can you please use your ambivalent powers to grace me with whatever? You just say, I have this animation, I want to make it. Your job is to produce animations. The caliber of animation I want to produce requires your caliber of producer. Therefore, I'm giving you this animation. Please.
Your voice is breaking up a little bit. I think you're going.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's better. Yes, we're away a bit from the microphone.
So basically, I sent this to a producer that's producing feature films because that's what I want to make. And now it's a matter of how to get it made, when to get it made, who to talk to, how to do it. And I overcame the barrier of
so your voice is away again. Yeah, somehow it's sometimes. Your voice went away again a little bit. There, yeah.
Right. I think that I can't open too many things. But anyway, guys, what I'm saying is going for it is better than asking.
Yes, and I mean your your ideas for animation aesthetically and formally, it's already in your comics, as they are also informed by animated films from the 70s, the Ralph Bakshi, as you mentioned.
I am
films that
total inspiration. Almost completely. It was one of the earliest things that I've seen, and actually, I got to my style not thinking of ligne claire. I got to it with a mix of. This is very cinematic sequence here. I'll put it in the background. So I got to this this style from my early exposure to those Ralph Bakshi movies, and I never knew about ligne claire until a few years ago because I was just making stills.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Then I just
this kinship.
Yeah.
Aesthetically.
And then I just exactly, and then that's where the animal people came from. And here's also, because like we're saying, we're injecting ourselves into this. I also know that I have a kinship with animation, so I'm not excluding that. You see? So here's anime, but it's still me. It's still the same character.
Everett, where did you learn to draw?
I went to Cleveland School of Arts in Ohio. It's a high school for drawing. And I went there basically all through high school. And then I went to New York and started learning painting kind of on my own, but also just being around the art scene. And then
it's breaking up again a little bit.
Sorry?
Try to get close to the microphone.
Yeah.
So you said you went to New York and then after the but was this an art school? You said high school?
Yeah, the Cleveland School of the Arts was a high school for arts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was like kids, and it looked like that movie High School Musical. It was that. It was really that.
Mm-hmm.
Kids in the hallway singing and like really like that. It was kind of crazy.
And you had a lot
One
of
of my-
drawing. You had a lot of drawing courses there.
Yeah, I had mostly drawing, and then we all have to take like 1 or 2 semesters of another one. So I had drawing and then theater, and then I took photography once because I failed 12th grade. I failed my final year, and so I had to go again, but I had already finished the drawing program, so I took 1 year photography.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. And then I went to New York, started painting, and then I met a guy named Ralph Bakshi, who passed away, unfortunately. He's a cartoonist, and he lived in Leipzig, and I had never seen his style. I had never seen a style like this. I picked up this anthology called Pop Gun. It's an old anthology. It's an international anthology that came out, and Ralph's piece in that just really blew me away. And it was a simple, it was a still frame of a fruit stand and a woman going there every day, and that was it. But the detail, and it went through every season, and it was just a very, very beautifully rendered. It just blew me away. And one thing I've always done, because I knew I couldn't afford to go to college, was to still educate myself. So I always just annoyed the people that I liked until they responded. Period. So I just wrote to Ralph. Wow, I'm a video store clerk in New York. I just read
I think you're moving too much.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the sound is
When
cutting out.
you are moving away, your voice is too silent. Then it's getting tricky. But I think we could also start asking the audience if they have any questions. I mean,
we can
please do.
That's
maybe we get out of the screen sharing and then.
Sounds good.
And
no, usually it's a shocking moment to ask if somebody has questions, because everybody is so overwhelmed by the presentation. We are absolutely overwhelmed by the images and by the drive.
Maybe Everett, if you try stop the screen sharing, and then I think we lost your image. Maybe can you?
No, it should be here now.
No, but your camera is black. Can you maybe just turn it on, off and on? Maybe that brings you back. I don't know. Get just a black image now from you.
All right, 1 second. Anything?
No, black, still black.
Actually, I see my computer is super slow too, so I'm gonna close this and come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right back, guys.
Yes. So in the meantime, you can all think of questions to ask.
Yeah, guys, do it.
Das war jedenfalls die volle Ladung. Ästhetisch. Vielleicht sollten wir ihn nochmal fragen nach seinen Regeln für die New Yorker. Weil ich meine, ich dachte die ganze Zeit, er sagt sie ja die ganze Zeit, aber vielleicht sollte ich ihn nochmal fragen, dass er sie nochmal zusammenfasst, die er gelernt hat. Weil das ist tatsächlich so, dass Leute, die Cartoons zeichnen, sich so ein paar Modelle zurechtlegen. Und also Phil hat das auch zu mir gesagt. Phil, das ist ein Berliner Cartoonist, also auch ein Humorzeichner. Der hat auch gemeint, das ist ganz einfach. Du gehst einfach rum und schaust immer nur, wo ist der Witz. Und wenn du die ganze Zeit darauf konzentriert bist, den Witz zu suchen im Alltag, dann wirst du ihn finden. Da dachte ich, na, schöner Tipp. Nur hat er bei mir nicht funktioniert. Vielleicht habe ich nicht energisch genug gesucht. Jetzt kommt Everett zurück. Das war jetzt ein sehr banaler Tipp. Also im Nachhinein, wenn man ihn nacherzählt, ist es unglaublich banal. Aber Phil ist ein Erstklasse-Humorist und das war seine Weisheit zum Humorcomic. Eigentlich heißt es dranbleiben. Everett, hi.
Hear me, okay.
Okay, yeah, now we see you.
So,
and hear you.
So I would open the podium now Does one of you have any questions?
I
Yes.
do. Oh,
Anna,
Luca.
please.
Okay, Luca, me and you.
Yeah, my biggest problem with my attempts for cartoons or comics is the concept. And are you writing the concept down beforehand, or are there situations where you're just starting to draw and get drifted away by your imagination and the story evolves while the process and not beforehand? Or is there always a concept and you're working every step by step?
There's a concept. There's sketches. There's preparation. Often is not drawn. So there's two worlds to that. So let's say I also have a problem with concept, and I get overwhelmed with trying to take an initial idea. I want to do a bank robbery that feels like how it feels to pay taxes. And then I think about the whole thing. And then when it comes down to like, how am I gonna put this together? It's overwhelming. I even lose the concept after a while. So I always keep journals, texts, mostly, just to get it out. But also sometimes you have these sketches, random things. So in hip hop, they would call these rhyme books. And rhyme book is when you have a rap doesn't consist of you're just the best fucking rapper ever. It consists of all these little lines you thought of. So let's say you throw the idea of concept out the window and just understand that the nature probably will be that you collect every little thing you think of, period. And then just decide that because you know that you can't, or that being conceptual is hard, but you want to just start drawing, just go off whatever idea you have and just say, okay, I'm gonna finish a page a day, whatever it is. So maybe one day you do just start drawing and then you have this crazy whatever that's just free-flowing ideas. And then another day you try again, because if that's your goal is to write something first. So one day you might try it. And then maybe you have now 2 pages that don't look like they go together. And then you might feel, oh, this doesn't match. This isn't blah, blah, blah. But actually at the end of the day, the goal isn't for you to understand what you're doing, because you're looking in the mirror. It's how it's like you getting dressed every day is your own vibe, but then people are gonna see you how they're gonna see you no matter what. And like they're gonna conceptualize you. So you got like once you hit this stage of like the goal is to produce, then just it'll be easier to go between however you're coming with these ideas, because they're gonna come in this way, whatever, however they come. You feel me, brother? You get it? So yeah, I sketch, but maybe I'll sketch something and then in the middle of drawing, it'll go off and I'll be pissed. Oh fuck, I really want to draw this, but then, you know.
You end up somewhere else, so unexpectedly. So you need to kind of prepare and still be open to discoveries or to the logic of the thing that you start to create, no?
Yep.
I also heard the secret is produce. And
you got it, Ulli.
Be
exactly.
Focused and produce, yes. But then if you are focused and produce, you also let loose in the meantime. But if you keep on going, it will find its path, yep. Magically.
Exactly. And then that's your voice. Then people are gonna say, that's your voice.
Right. Yeah, that's my struggle with the most things in life, that I have my ideas and the concept, and then the actual doing is a totally different world, where I sometimes think for myself, okay, I have to stick to the concept, but sometimes I just don't want to. And I think the idea that is not as thought through feels the best for me, but I still stick to the concept. And yeah, that's a very hard struggle to find the middle way between letting it flow and write down the ideas.
Try both.
So,
Do
yeah.
both. Both
Well,
variants.
I think you need to do a lot of bad things, a lot of bad shit to like get to you say that, you know, all these things that didn't get accepted, that's sad, but it's like it's like the coal, like they need to be there to get the good ones.
Yeah.
Like I'm always so mad at the stuff that didn't work out, but it needed to be there for the good things. So I try to like accept, move on. Which doesn't always work.
And don't hide it. Don't hide it. Just when you find yourself off the track, well, once you're done and you looking back and, oh shit, I got off track. Well, you have that thing. You have that whatever it was that got you off track. And then the next day, trying to get back on, it's page 2.
Emma, you had
Thanks,
also a
Emma.
question?
Good vibe.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, more like a technical question. I mean, your final work is digital, right? Do you start with like a paper sketch and then trace it in, or do you just have really clean ink lines and then just scan that?
Both. So I find that digital is a pot of gold. No, it's a pot of chocolate. And I don't want to like get a sugar rush and get overwhelmed with the possibilities of it. So I have very strict rules with myself, and I only use digital as basically unlimited pens. I have a 1 color palette, so I pretend like I have 25 colors, and with the drawing, I pretend that the computer screen is my light box. So I usually have all my characters drawn on paper first. Like I'm just doodling like normal and like coming up with character designs and stuff like that. And then using the computer to kind of like perfect it, like for an anatomy, for the cleanliness of the line. Yeah, so I'm mostly paper.
So with fine liner or with which instrument?
Pencil.
It's a pencil.
Yeah.
And you make it very high. You make the contrasts very high in the end.
Let me find one. Let me find a layout of actual like a page.
I would have never thought that
Yes,
this
that
is a
would be good.
pencil line. Never ever. It's such a clear
No,
line.
No, the line that you see is digital inking.
Yeah,
it's
you make
drawn on the tablet.
First
computer.
the pen line and then on the tablet or what?
Yeah. This is not a page. Like this. It's very analog looking drawing.
Yes. Right.
White out, all this stuff. I had some layout work and I sold them. So now I don't have them. Sorry.
But then you do the line work on the computer, on the iPad.
Yeah, on this, yeah.
I see.
Basically, I do. It's like Luca said. I'm 50-50. Like for like the doppelgangers, that was completely drawn out on paper. Almost 100% drawn out on paper first. But I didn't even trace directly over the paper because I never do, because for me, I really want the anatomy of photo reference because of the Ralph Bakshi connection. I can draw pretty close to my style, but I prefer to draw the page, do the poses, and then light box the poses and put the same heads and the same hands and the same stuff that I drew. That's the only parts I really like copy from paper to screen.
So
And then the
you
rest
make
is always
a
on screen.
you make a sketch of the page and the page layout, and you basically recreate it with photos, and
Yeah,
that you
it's a
then
big
trace on the
collage.
computer. Yeah.
I you know, this whole week I was looking. I had I saved some where you can see it's I mean, sometimes I think about making that in art form if I was more into fine art, because I really make a full collage, like fingers, hands. I'll put like something from a magazine, like a giant dog or something like this. I really put everything together like a collage, and then I go over that with the black. And then once that's there, I start to like add sound effects, tweak, make heads bigger, go around and like play with it with the digital, because now I can manipulate the stuff a little better. So digital, I don't know, digital paper, both.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
It's a little bit like the Merv working method, or like Rutu Modan's working method. You know her, Everett?
No.
The Israeli comic artist. Yeah, she has several books out in English too, but she has a ligne claire style, but she's working with a lot with a cast of actors. Then she writes the stories. Yeah.
It's that vibe. It's that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I saw her actors and stuff on Instagram. I was like, oh man, I wish I could afford actors.
Yeah.
She started with friends.
Yeah, or you can have this kind of actors. Yes.
I got a ton of toys.
That's good. Yeah. But in her case, as in yours, I think the key thing, and that's hard to grasp also for our audience of people who more or less like to draw and trying out different drawing ways, and other colleagues who work with photo reference. But the crucial thing is to make it lively and not to that you see the photo reference, that you see the precision, as in your case and in Rutu Modan's case, that you can enjoy these rich details that you can really invent, but still not to have it feel posed in a bad way, which can easily happen. You all know colleagues who kind of didn't fall on the right side of this equation, I think.
Exactly.
Rutu doesn't trace it. Rutu, she gets the actors play the scenes, and then she just looks at it and she draws it. She modifies but she wants to have she wants to see how the real body moves. She likes the face expressions of the actors very much. Their body language is extremely strong because of that.
That's why I think photo reference works, is for body language, and I think that's the distinction. I think I have a few notes. These are all my notes for this lecture right here, and one of those notes was exactly that: knowing cartoons before you lightbox, because lightboxing is a tool. And then I was like, should I show something? But that's the thing.
Yeah.
The photo referencing isn't it isn't a style, it isn't a way to get to drawing better. It isn't, oh, I can't draw figures, so I photo reference. No, it's I can draw, and photo reference is a part of that process. So I have a very specific style that I already want to do. So now the photo reference has to fit into that style. So I'm very aware of what a fold looks like in the style that I want to create. So although if I photo reference my arm, especially if I photo reference my arm like this, that looks like Jack Kirby. It's gonna be a big blob in 2D, and then this isn't gonna read as an arm. If you look at that as just a shape, it's gonna read as just like this blob under my hand. Yeah. And then my face is gonna be blocked, and it's gonna be a lot of lines, because if you're tracing and not using it as a light box, you don't know, you're not conscious, because you're using it to draw. So you're actually not drawing. So you're not thinking, how does the weight relate to the arm? Is the arm in the sleeve? You're like, oh, I don't know how to draw a sleeve, so I'm drawing what I see. I'm tracing. So you're gonna end up with a lot of lines here. So it's gonna look kind of like, I'm sorry to say, it's gonna look like a butt with something coming out of it, because it's just gonna be lines. But if you're aware of how, if you're really thinking, my goal is to draw an arm reaching towards the camera, then because you understand how drawing, your own way of drawing, you'll kind of start, like for me, if I was doing it, because my style is flat, I wouldn't even have a hand like this, because that goes against my rules. So I would always think more like maybe this or something like that. Or, you know, exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly what I tell the students too, not the frontal. Please think about the frontal. Try put it more to profile, because there's gestures which just work better in the profile.
Yeah, it reads better. It's not like we're not recreating photos. And that's like a thing that's, I think some people with light boxing, they're not thinking about the comic, they're thinking about, oh, I want a guy flying on a rope with a gun. And so they're thinking of the photo of that. Okay, there's a guy flying on the rope with a gun. It is that, but it looks like a blob of shit on paper, because you're not thinking exactly.
Yeah, that's a crucial thing. Yeah, what you just said, that they're thinking of the photo and not, you have to be able to think the drawing and then use the photo as a help to get there. But you must be able to construct a drawing and to find the right moment in the body language that you feel yourself, that you could sketch out, but maybe not as perfectly. But yeah.
Let me play this video again.
Sorry,
oh,
yes.
I can't. Pardon me, Kai. I didn't mean to cut you, brother.
No, I just wanted to say, sometimes, you know, when with certain artists I know who use photo reference, sometimes they use, that's just not the right moment, you know, in the body movement. So it looks like a bad actor frozen in a overdone expression of the body. So and the right moment would be maybe a split second later or before. So and that's why you have to work with your own body and really sketch it out, and then just use the photo in this process, but not just say, okay, this is the photo I took and now I'm tracing it. So that's it.
Yeah. And the term bad acting, that's it. It's bad comic acting, because your actor's job is to create body language. So if you're not conscious of how comic body language looks, you're just creating photo body language. You're creating a movie with bad actors. Could be a great movie, but like you said, so
what I wanted to ask you, your personal rules, which you found out for the New Yorker cartoons.
What are my rules?
Yes, could you summarize them one more time for us?
I keep this next to me at all times. If I could afford it, I would get the Charles Adams, but I don't. I have Peter Arnold. It's always on the desk all the time. Why? Because I feel that it's a privilege for me to be in the New Yorker. I didn't want to be in the New Yorker. I didn't sign up for the New Yorker. I didn't grow up reading the New Yorker. I mean, I read them, but I didn't think, oh, I want to be a New Yorker cartoonist. So I thought, if I'm doing anything, I should. The rule is that I have to participate in the visual tradition of classic New Yorker cartoons, because I don't want to overstep my boundaries. And so I found the cartoonist that I liked and just said, I want to stick with that style. And there's other New Yorker styles. There's like the 80s style, the 70s style. There's like some scratchy, more paper. But mine, I just said, I want to always have like a lot of gray, a lot of rough around here, these kind of compositions with cartoonish, like profile, face, cartoony compositions, and basically signature there, totally Peter Arnold stuff. And then who if I was Peter Arnold now, or if I was just using his ghost, where would I be in that, just only in that realm? And I try not to venture out of it. And another one is, I use zip tone coloring for it, and I never use like fades or anything overly computer at all, because again, this guy didn't have that, so I don't want to utilize too many of the computer tools, and I want to pretend that because most New Yorker cartoons are just pen and ink, it's traditional, and I feel like a new kid on the block bringing this digital shit. I don't want to do anything that couldn't be done on paper at all. Like with my crazy panels, I probably wouldn't be able to do that just from paper. So I just like, pen, ink.
And what about the content?
I just try to keep it clean. I try to stay away from politics because I don't feel comfortable knowing politics. I like the idea of haha funny. So I always try to find just jokes, like just straight up, that's funny.
That's why there is all these classics like the island and the hell and the classic settings.
Exactly.
You can repeat forever if you have a new joke with it. Yeah.
Yep. And I stay in that. I just stay there because I'm like, I feel like I'm in a class. I'm comfortable being in a class, but these are all kids who just been there. Like they are running the shit. I'm just chilling. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you for letting me in. I'm sticking with this box.
How much do they pay you for one cartoon?
$700.
700. That's nice. Yeah. That's okay.
It ain't bad.
Yeah.
Like you get. If you're funny every week, you're paying a rent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not, and that's the scary thing though, because I'm not funny every week, and they don't necessarily like this whole month. I think they're doing one session of submissions because of I think they're going on strike there now.
Oh.
But then there will be some months where they're going on vacation or whatever, so it's very much not a stable gig. But I kind of like the pressure, but it does get to me because it is what pays my bills. So I'm like, there is a pressure to be funny, and once that happens, you're not funny. So actually, I'm taking other gigs now. Like this album cover, I tried to start, and like trying to sell the rights to my comics, just other jobs.
Yeah. Because you can never guarantee that, and also for everybody to keep in mind, if you do freelance, it's the greatest thing is to get like the steady gig for a while. But you say now you can send every week something into the New Yorker. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. But of course they can always say like, okay, from one moment to the other, okay, your vibe is not ours anymore. So. Yep. And then it's over. And then you never, there's zero contracts or.
There's been times where a comic was funny and it just got lost in the emails. And I didn't make money the whole month because of an email. And then I'll get a letter. Oh, what? Could you resubmit this? It just got lost in the spam. And I'm like, shit, I didn't eat last week because of that.
Yeah, that's but now that you have this still on the as regular gig for the New Yorker, how's your process? How do you fit that in when you say roughly you do 7 gags per week that you would submit? So it would be kind of like on average 1 per day, but do you have days where you kind of try to do a whole bunch of them, or do you have a routine for when you try and get into the gag?
Yeah, my routine is wake up on a Tuesday, know that I have 6 hours, or no, not 6 hours. I have about 8 hours because it takes me about an hour a panel. This goes into the rules, Ulli. This goes into the rules because with the New Yorker, one of the things I try to do is understand that like sometimes people laugh when I say shit that I don't think is funny. I'm just like talking and people, So I realized like one of the rules is if I'm doing this funny thing, then it should be as natural as possible. So actually on a Tuesday, I'm like, I have 8 hours to just talk. And, this goes with what Lucas said too. With the New Yorker, I'm not planning, shit. I might have like kind of some jokes, but I'm just really waking up and thinking I have to improv because that's the only way I'm gonna really be funny or not, because it's just gonna be whatever I think. So for instance, I heard something like yesterday. So I was walking with a friend, and the guy was walking with his dog, and the guy sneezed really loud, and we thought it was the dog, and we just started like, what if it was the dog? Ah! And I know that somewhere that's something's funny there because we laughed. So there's a dog, there's a sneeze, there's a joke. I don't know what that's gonna be on Tuesday at all. Like, I'm not even close to knowing what that's gonna be. But I know on Tuesday, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna maybe have 2 that I planned, and then 5 that are just like, okay, what was that funny thing? Oh, it was a dog. I start drawing the dog. Oh, there was a sneeze, and I think of, okay, something sneezing, and then maybe it's like a pet store, and like all the cats are like, and then another dog is in a pet store, and it's like Gesundheit. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
yeah,
it just goes as if I'm at a dinner talking, because that's where the most natural stuff comes from.
You need to open up your mind to make these connections. Yeah,
exactly.
Naturally. So basically, you take one workday to produce a batch of cartoons too.
Yeah, I've tried to produce them every day, but I'm a graphic novelist first, and I prefer my days to be spent. Now I'm writing something, and I'm more of a serious guy, really. So I just have one day I can be funny, and then the rest I'm really working on my unpaid. It's kind of dumb, but I'm just working on my own stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good system, and maybe even advice that to really take the time to get into a certain mode, and then stay in it for a few days, or stay for one day into the gag writing mode instead of kind of. If each morning you have to kind of fire up the funny motor, and then by the time you're in and produce one, and then you stop and go into the serious graphic novel business, then it would kind of be a waste of time. You need to
waste of time. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I go on a Tuesday, and I'm like, I don't go see friends. I mean, it's really a work day. It's one of the days that everybody who knows me is just like, they don't even call me on a Tuesday, because I'm like, this pocket is, I'm just over here laughing to myself. I'm walking around telling myself jokes, like, and then the sooner I start laughing, I'll just like try to catch it. And it's just a whole day, like, until I try not to, but literally my inner clock is, I always end up submitting exactly at 6 all the time.
Nice.
Like, I could submit earlier, but it just from 8 to 10 I start, and then it's just jokes all day. Yeah.
Nice.
You've got your inner cartoon clock, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Set on Tuesdays, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's what we do, baby.
Yeah, we condition ourselves, and then we have to find these working methods. That's really a part of what you need to develop.
Yeah.
Whatever our field may be, there are different people here who will end up in very different fields, but a lot of different things can feed into each other, because it's not it's kind of related. I think that the graphic novel, the comics form, and the cartoon gag form, they are related, but they're not the same. And really often, there's not so many who do both. I would say.
And I think that's the one thing that I learned, which created this strict rule set, because I know that, and like, I know what it's like to not know what you are, because for a while, and this, for you guys, I think this is very important. I got some really strong offers for work, like hella good, for like graphic design, editing, copyright, all this stuff that people outside of the arts world are just, oh, you can draw? Could you do this? And I found myself in a startup that they were designing medical devices for horses, like to read the vital signs and all this really high tech stuff. I said, oh, I'll be your art director. No, not the art director. I was something, but it was like, I can go home and tell my mom that I had that job. You know, oh, I did this thing. And at that point, I'm a cartoonist. You know, I need money and I can draw, and this job said yes. So yes, I'll take it. And it fucked me up. It like messed my whole vibe up, because now I'm in this situation where, yeah, it's creative, but it's not specialized to something that I know I'm good at. It's just a bubble. So it's like I'm drawing this stuff, but now I'm drawing like diagrams for like how the thing breaks apart and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, I can do this as a 9-to-5 and do graphic novels on the side. No, it doesn't work that way, because what we're doing is something from the inside. And we can't just place it wherever. You got to know whatever your vibe is. If it's web design, no matter what the fucking offers you get, you're a web designer. If you're an illustrator, you're illustrate. And then if there's a moment where like what happened to me, where something kind of close enters the sphere and you feel like you can do it after knowing that what you really are, then do it. But I wouldn't just go take anything that kind of looks like your job. And I promise you, as a person who knows how to draw, you're going to be offered all kind of stuff that might derail you from like really perfecting what your thing is. And they all look the same. Like I was even doing tattoo art for a while, like book design, all the stuff that like specialists, like all y'all, we're all gonna leave this Power Rangers thing right here. We're gonna all go back to our Zords, and one of y'all is gonna be like the fucking dragon. I'm gonna be the tiger, and it's all doing different shit. You got to be like good at your one. So I take the lower paycheck, but like Kai said, like I get to be a guy that people aren't doing that. Well, they would if they would just, that was all they were doing. So yeah, that's how you end up doing mini lectures. You just don't do nothing else.
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, just wanted to mention that how complex this is. The one thing, your main thing, I think that came really through when you commented on your comics stories pages and so on, how layered this is and how rich and how much thought goes into that even most readers won't maybe necessarily immediately and on the surface get to see. Then when you say, okay, there's a painting as a reference, there's a thought that I thought this was very interesting for the writing process to consider that you have a character that you have talk less in the scene, so she should be more in the pictures, because then she's there as kind of her voice is through her actions, body language and whatever, and all these considerations that are extremely complex and that you have to really develop over the years, and that I find very fascinating, and especially for your comics that are very, very peculiar in that way, that uncommon to combine genre fiction and the autobiographical, autofictional, to really bring your own experience into this, but in this guise that reminds me, for people, if you want to check out what would be an equivalent, maybe it reminds me of the literature of someone like William Burroughs or K.F. Acker, who also use genre fiction in literature, but then put very, very personal things in there, but you don't necessarily always know what they are and where they come from.
That's the vibe. And that vibe happens because William Burroughs didn't try to be a copywriter. He was like, I have all this stuff. And like, guys, like I'm saying, you might be good at another thing. But if you use the talent at the other thing and just say, well, I want to be more than good at this thing, then just take that small thing, talent, and just put it even more towards, and just become a fucking surgeon to yourself. So like nerd out on it, like be a nerd about it. Like just be a nerd. Just, oh man, all this shit gonna go on one panel. You know?
Yes. And I guess that you can have a kind of a comparable richness of reference and of considerations in as a web designer as well, you know, and whatever it is, or graphic designer in general. Yeah, it's not the same thing, but you can have, you know, all these considerations that maybe the common audience won't detect, but that makes it so much richer what you are doing specifically.
Yeah,
so
because if you go to the Hermes website, you're not gonna feel the same thing if you go to Target website or what's the one really terrible? There's a website, an e-commerce site where the UX is so shitty that it's like you don't even trust it. What is it? It's just one of these sites. Oh my God, I don't even want to buy nothing on there because they probably don't care. They probably okay, click this, and then whoever's working for Hermes is probably like, man, oh, I saw this one website by Joe Spiegelman. Fuck, this shit was so dope. I can't believe, how did he get this? And the person is probably, when he walked into that job interview, he didn't need I never needed a resume ever in my life, ever. Because I'll go where I know I belong, and I have a conversation with the person about what I'm there to do. And if you're really a surgeon about the shit, if you're like, I'm a web designer, therefore my life, boring, you gotta bore people at conversations. People gotta look at you and be like, this motherfucker about to talk about web design. I don't want him you know what I mean? This motherfucker about to talk about product design again, because that's you. It's like people who aren't in these fields, they can have a separation between job and life. Not us. It's not that. You are that. That's you. Like, you're a web designer. Like, that's your life. So you got a reputation to kind of, you want to be, we all can't do it. And no one really is Everett, but you want to think, I want to be the best one. Like, or like really good. Like, you see, the reason you want to do it is because you saw a really good one. The fuck, I want to do this. I want to do this. So how are you going to get a really good one if you're not looking at really good ones only and figuring out how did they get really good? I'm not looking at 13 like, oh, this is a cool comic. What's the story about? I'm looking at 13 like, fuck, what did he do? How did he literally, what is that font? How did he draw that thing? I'm not trying to recreate what he's doing. I just know I like it. So how do I do that? So yeah, focus.
Focus, right. I mean, I could ask if there is any more questions, and I think we have to somehow break it.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, last chance for questions. Just scream if you want to.
I promise you, whoever asks the next question, I promise you, I'm not going to start telling you a whole 30-minute.
Don't promise anything.
All right.
So I think yeah,
we are well inspired now. I hope you
Great.
guys are well inspired now. I'm super happy.
Me
and
too.
thank you so
I'm happy
much.
to see y'all actually.
Yeah, the other ones. Do they have videos?
They sleep. They're not even in class.
They're not there.
Yo, what's up?
No, they are still 47 people.
Ah, there you go.
Hey.
Yes.
Hi. Faces, yeah.
Cool.
For the final wave goodbye.
The final thing is, as you see, the complexity and craziness that is on the page directly reflects the person behind the page. You got to get to that point. That's it. You can talk to me and then read one of my comics, and you won't be mistaken about who the fuck drew that shit.
Yes. Check out his work, all the stuff he didn't show today on his Instagram, and if you can hunt down Unsmooth, the comic book from Floating World Comics, then yeah, you're lucky. I think
Second
there's
one's
one
coming
store in
out.
Berlin who has it now, but it's hard to get in Germany, let's say. But
I'm working on that.
yeah, we hoped a German publisher also takes up the whatever mantle. No,
Mantle.
I don't know if that's a reference, but anyway, we will see more from you, maybe animated even, as you hinted at. So
This next one's coming out in September. So
okay,
it's always going, guys.
All right. So
Thanks
we
for
thank you
having
very
me.
much. Bye bye.
Hey guys, hope I see you guys
Thank you.
later.